everyone, it's Jenna. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I got this makeup look with a little get ready with me. You always request this video and it's always just so far out of my comfort zone that I just I don't do it, but I figured why not? It's a new year. I want to update you all on where I'm at in life, and I don't really do a lot of sit down personal videos. So I hope that you all enjoy it. And yeah, let's get into the tutorial. All right, so here we are, and the first thing that I always do, I don't use a primer or anything, but I always use this CeraVe moisturizing cream, not the lotion, the cream, because I have a really dry skin. So this is kind of like a primer, but it just helps to like moisturize my skin and give me a good base, I guess. So I'm gonna answer some questions as I'm doing this, and I'm gonna do my best to talk to you guys and do my makeup at the same time, but this is gonna be really interesting, so hopefully it goes well. Okay, so like the number one question that I got, like it was like the majority of you asked this question or like something to do with this is, what's your 9 to 5? Are you still flight attending? Do you miss flight attending? Like all along those lines. So let's clear this up. Actually, first, let me show you. This is what I use for my foundation. Pretty much everything in this video is drugstore makeup. I don't like to spend a lot of money on makeup. I like to keep it very affordable and very simple. Even though I like full coverage, I like it to be just like a simple process. So you guys will see this isn't anything professional or crazy. It's just a gal using her drugstore makeup. So this is L'Oreal Paris Infallible Pro Glow. I have the 207 and the 202, so like a darker and lighter shade on hand. So when I have self tanner on, I can use the darker one, or if I'm like paler in the winter, I can use this one. And then sometimes, like today, I will mix the two. So I feel like I'm like kind of in between right now. So I'm just gonna do that. And I have no idea where I bought this brush from. I think it was like TJ Maxx a long time ago. But I'm just gonna put both on the brush and blend that in. Okay, flight attending and my 9 to 5. So I was a flight attendant for 7 years. I no longer am a flight attendant anymore. I got furloughed with the pandemic in 2020. I think it was October of 2020. I found out that I was furloughed. Honestly, I was shocked because I had been there for a long time and we really thought that we were safe. I kind of figured we'd get called back relatively soon. We did get a severance with being furloughed because I was there for a long time. So we were in the process of building our home and I couldn't really find a lot of resources on YouTube like other people going through the process. So I figured, okay, I'm gonna start my own channel, and it wasn't like a willy-nilly thing, like I'm just gonna do this for fun. Like I kind of made it my full-time job at the time because I was lucky enough to have the time to do it since I was furloughed. So I kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna treat this like my full-time job and just see if it goes anywhere. And luckily it kind of took off. And then I got called back to the airlines and it was like very stressful because I had so much work on my plate. Like it got to the point where people would ask us to like go to dinner, and I was used to like working up until dinner, eating dinner, and then working after dinner, and I would get so stressed out. So it kind of became clear at that point that I needed to make a decision, and that was really hard for me because I don't know if a lot of you know this, but if you're a flight attendant, you basically work your way up. You start at the bottom, you start at barely anything pay-wise, and then same thing with your seniority. So you have no say over your days off, you work every single holiday, and then as you're with the company longer, your pay increases, you get better seniority as people get hired below you, and you kind of move up. So it's really hard to quit, especially since I had 7 years under my belt. My pay had more than doubled since I started, and it's not one of those jobs where your boss is like, oh, you always have a spot here if you want to come back. It's like, once you quit, all those years of work are kind of down the drain because you worked to get so far, and then you basically have to start over if you want to go back. So that was a really scary decision for me, but really what helped me make it was Mike. He was like, you know what? You're really happy when you make your YouTube videos and you always come off the plane really tired and stressed. So I think that you should just go for it. Let's take a chance on your channel. And that was really all I needed to hear, just because I felt like when your teammate is telling you, okay, like you should quit, then that really just gave me the freedom to be like, okay. I still was super nervous. I remember sitting there on the phone with my friend who was a flight attendant, bawling. I was bawling, about to press send on my 2-week notice email. I had to press send, but I just like couldn't do it. Like it was such a hard thing, just because that's all I had known for the last 7 years, and that was my only career post-college. So I went to college and I immediately became a flight attendant. So it was just a really big move, and it felt like at the time a really big risk. But yeah, I'm doing a really bad job of doing my makeup am talking. So, okay, real quick, I'm going to put my concealer on, and this is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, and I go crazy with this stuff, and I found if I put it over my eyelids that my eyeshadow sticks a lot better and like stays a long time. So I do it all over my eyelids, and it kind of just acts as a primer, and then I'll just do a little bit kind of down the middle of my face. But anyway, I quit flight attending, and honestly, it was one of the best decisions ever. I look back and I'm like, I was so stressed and it felt like such a hard decision at the time, but I don't regret it at all, to be honest. Like, me and my friend at the time, I was a flight attendant. We were both flight attendants, and we had this other friend, and she was a flight attendant, and she quit. And we'd always ask her, like, do you miss it? And she'd be like, no. And me and my friend would always be like, she's lying. But like, now I get it. Like, I don't miss it at all. You just kind of adjust to your new lifestyle. And I think loving what I do now really makes a big difference. I think maybe if I went to an office job, I might regret that decision, but I really do not at all. The only time I regret it is when I need to book a plane ticket. I'm like, oh, I have to pay for this now. But yeah, that is kind of the whole story. And I will say I am truly a full-time content creator. It's so funny because when I used to watch YouTubers before I was a YouTuber myself, I'd be like, that is the easiest job ever. All you have to do is slap a video up every week, and you probably have so much free time, and like, you're your own boss, and it's amazing. And while that is definitely true, you are your own boss, and that is great. It's so much more time consuming than I ever thought, at least with the kind of content I create. I'm sure it varies for different YouTubers, but especially with like the voiceover work, those videos take me like 4 full days of just editing. I wake up at 6 a.m., I clock in at 6 a.m. A lot of times I eat as I'm editing, and then I clock out at 6 p.m. when my husband gets home. So it is definitely a lot of work, and I work a lot more hours than I ever did when I was a flight attendant, but obviously I love it and I'm passionate about it, so it just feels a lot different, you know? Obviously it's my dream job, I'm not complaining. I'm at the point where I'm honestly like thinking about hiring help because I am so busy, like between editing my videos, thinking of concepts, doing the shopping, doing the filming, and then keeping up with all of my style boards on my reward style and Instagram content. Like, it is freaking crazy. In the best way, obviously. I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying I put a lot of time and effort into my videos, and hopefully you guys can tell that. But oh, sorry, I meant to say this, but I went in and set everything with this L'Oreal True Match powder. Also, I will link everything that I use below, but let's do another question. How did you end up in Charlotte? So I got a lot of questions like, are you happy with Charlotte? Are you moving? Do you miss Arizona? And that's kind of like a story answer. It's kind of like probably the biggest life update I have for you all. So I'm gonna save that for the end, but I will say how I ended up in Charlotte. Basically, it was with the airlines, and they were downsizing the base in Phoenix. So I absolutely loved Phoenix. Like, that was my place, but they kind of came out with this announcement where they said, we're overstaffed here and we basically need to downsize the base. And if we don't get 500 flight attendants to voluntarily leave on their own, we're going to displace the most junior 500 flight attendants. And I fell into that most junior 500 flight attendants. So I kind of like freaked out because Mike and I had just gotten married and we wanted to buy a home. And obviously I didn't want to buy a home somewhere where I was going to not have a job within that city. So we picked another base where the housing market was like relatively affordable at the time. This was like before the pandemic, like right before. We literally signed our papers as everything was shutting down. But basically we came here because of my job. And Mike is a nurse, so he could kind of go wherever, and we just picked somewhere where it kind of had a suburban feel but still like a big city where we could get a nice home that we were excited about. We're really fortunate to where we can really go anywhere now, so I'll get to that later. But this is the Ulta Beauty Natural Glow Matte Bronzer, and usually just use a little bit on my cheeks, and then I will go in and use the leftover and kind of just rub it along my jawline, and then maybe go in a little bit more. And then I just use the leftover and I go right on each side of my nose. That kind of creates like a little contour there. It makes my nose area look a little bit more defined. Sometimes I'll go like up here, but like barely. All right, so let's see, another question. Oh, how young are you? Okay, so I am at 30 years old. I turn 31 in February. Oh, I like this one. How long did it take you to find your design style? Like, was it trial and error? and absolutely 100% it was trial and error. I feel like I'm still finding my design style, and it's like never ever gonna be finished. My style just keeps evolving, and even from when we bought this house and like some of the choices that I made, it's evolved since then. Even the biggest designers, like Shay McGee admits on her Netflix series, like sometimes you just get things into the space and it's trial and error. Like that doesn't work, we need to try something else. So my biggest piece of advice for that is just to buy things from places where you can return them. So, you know, those big ticket items that you're maybe not sure about, like it's nice when you can go back and return that if it doesn't work in the space, and it kind of gives you like a safe insurance policy just in case it doesn't. And this blush is the e.l.f. Putty Blush. This is brand new. This is the only product that I haven't really used before. Everything else in this video is what I use like regularly in my videos when you guys request, oh, show me how you did your makeup. Like this is all like my longtime makeup. The only reason I got new blush was because typically I use this Bare Minerals one that I got like maybe 2 years ago at Marshall's, and it's so old, and honestly I probably shouldn't even be putting it on my face. So I bought this new one for you all, and I mean, it's cute. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I don't like to go crazy with the blush, just like a little bit of color, you know? Okay, so I am taking this Morphe 18W palette. I love this palette. And then this brush is what I always use to blend all of my eyeshadows. It is like $1. You can get it at the dollar store, Target, wherever. I will link it all below, but yeah, I love this brush. So what I typically do is I use 3 different colors. So I'll use a light, a medium, and a dark to kind of build my eye look. And something that I like to do that I feel like looks really good on me personally is use some of these like really warm terracotta colors. I feel like a lot of times if I use like more neutral browns like this, I look washed out on my eyes for some reason. So even though it looks a little bit intense and colorful, I think it actually turns out really pretty. So I'm gonna probably use this neutral one for the base, and then I'll go in with this one in the middle and then that one at the end, and then just kind of like build a more warm eye look. So all right, so like I said, I'm gonna go in with this one first, and we are gonna answer this question that I feel like was another most asked question, and it was what are your thoughts on babies, or any babies anytime soon? And let me tell you all, so I think that being a mother is such a beautiful thing. I think that whatever you have the desire in your heart to do, that's what you should do. Like my best friend, all she wanted was to be a mom, like from when we were in college. I think that is wonderful. I think being a mom, there's so much joy that comes from that. There's so much fulfillment, and having a family is like one of the most beautiful things that you can do with your life, honestly. But I also feel like there is a percentage of women who, especially nowadays, don't feel like that's right for them. And personally, I fall into that category. Like I really value my independence. Mike and I really just love where our lives are at right now, and kids just aren't something that we desire at this point in our lives. And I think society puts a lot of pressure. By the way, I'm going in with this medium one now. But I think that society puts a lot of pressure on women to be mothers. Like I often get asked the question, when are you having kids? Not, are you having kids? So it's like expected of us, and that really grinds my gears, because I feel like as women, there are so many other roles that we can fill in this life other than being mothers, if that's what we desire. And that's like my whole point with this. Like obviously, if you just desire to be a mom, like that's what you should do. But like there are other people who that might not be the right path for them. But you know, I could be eating my words in 3 months. We have an oops, and you know, we'll be parents and we'll love it. But given the choice, that's the choice that we're making right now. And maybe 10 years from now, we'll feel like something's missing and we'll want to adopt. Like, I don't know. Also, I'm going in with this dark color, and I'm gonna like maybe pick up a little bit of this dark brown too. And that's gonna be like my final color on my eyes. And I'm just here to tell you, don't listen to anyone else but you and your partner, and you guys will make the right decision for you, you know? So basically that was a really long answer to we're not looking at having kids right now. So once this is kind of done, as you can see, I just concentrate a lot of my shadow in the outer corner of my eye, and then I'll just go back in with my foundation brush and clean it up. So like I'll go right under here, and then if there's anything that needs to be up top, And then this next part is kind of where the magic happens. I have this little ColourPop. What even is this? I think it's just like an eyeshadow glitter, but it kind of works as a highlighter. You could use like a pressed highlighter for this probably too, but I just take my finger and I put this in the innermost corner of my eye and just kind of blend it out a little bit with my finger. And this just really gives my eye that like ombre look that I feel like helps to give it a lot of dimension. I'm almost always wearing this in every single one of my videos just because I love the look that it gives. Even though it feels like a lot with the glitter sometimes, I don't know, I just love the look of it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my eyebrows, and truly all I do is I take this little packing brush and I go with like some of the darker colors. I'll like get a little bit of this one and maybe a little bit of that one just so it kind of matches my brow color a little bit. And then I just make strokes to resemble a little bit more of a defined brow. So of course doing this on camera, it's not gonna turn out as good as it does if I'm just like doing it regularly. I feel like I'm doing it all crooked, but I just like make little lines to resemble brush strokes, hairs, I mean, brush strokes to resemble hairs, and it just helps it to look a little bit more defined. Maybe one day I'll invest in like a eyeshadow pencil or something, but right now this works. It's cheap. And I think it looks okay. So that's how I do my brows. So next I'm going to use the two darkest colors and just, I kind of mix them a little bit so I have a little bit of brown in there, but that's what I use for my eyeshadow. So I'm gonna use the same brush that I used and kind of just pack it on my upper lash line and then my lower lash line. And this is really what I feel like helps give my eyes that definition and kind of makes it appear a little bit softer because it is a powder. So it's not like a super harsh line or anything. So what else? I guess I can kind of get into the moving story. I love how I'm calling it the moving story. I'm gonna try to explain this the best that I can, but we moved to Charlotte thinking that we may or may not like it. We weren't sure, obviously, because it was a big change from Phoenix. Phoenix was my place. Like, I am a desert girl at heart. I love the sunsets. I love the landscape. I love the roads. I love the vibe. I love the restaurants. It was just my place. So it really hurt my heart to leave. When we moved here, we kind of knew this may not be our forever place. Like, Mike is from Huntington Beach, California. He is a West Coast kid at heart. We're both warm weather people. Like, I grew up in Florida and he grew up in Southern California. So we kind of moved out here on a trial basis. Like, okay, we'll get into the wheelhouse with real estate and we'll see how we like it. You know, if we don't like it, we can always make a change. I think that we really tried to stay here for a while, or at least picture this as a long-term or forever place for us. But basically we know that this isn't going to be a forever spot for us. We are super grateful for our home, and honestly, that's what makes it hard sometimes, is like, I think of what a beautiful home we have and how fortunate we are to be in this, and it just really is hard to get out of my comfort zone, or even thinking about getting out of my comfort zone to move into a new place that needs a ton of renovations. But I don't want to just be a hermit in my comfort zone and, you know, not take any risks to propel my life forward, obviously. So we've had that conversation a lot, Mike and I have, how, you know, we always tell ourselves that it's important to prioritize our mental health, and if we're not happy, it's important to make a change and not stay somewhere because we think that other people will be happy if we stay there. We need to do what's best for us. So we started exploring other options, and by the way, I just used this L'Oreal Voluminous mascara, and I'm probably just gonna talk and I just put a bunch of layers on. So I'll like do one layer, let it sit there for a second, and then do another layer and just kind of like build it up. So we started looking at other options, and Florida was one of the places we started looking at because it was drivable from Mike's family, but it was still like a little bit more of a warmer climate, and my family lives there, so we'd still have family nearby. So we actually got pre-approved and we started touring homes down there, and we kind of abruptly stopped for two reasons. One big reason was that we just kind of felt like it was not our vibe. Like, we weren't feeling like it was the right move. And for some reason, it just felt off. Like, we didn't love any of the homes. Just something in our gut was kind of like, this might not be the right move. So that was one reason. And then the other reason was that right around that time, we got word that Mike's mom had stopped responding to her cancer treatments and that she had roughly about 3 to 6 months left. And obviously we just dropped everything with the house search. We really didn't explore it anymore after that because we just wanted to prioritize being here with family and spending that time with her and spending that time with his family. We lost her in August, and honestly, like, it was super rough, as you can imagine. As most moms are, she was the rock of their family. That's honestly why I didn't really post any 2022 recaps, just because I know there's other things to celebrate and other accomplishments, but it just kind of feels overshadowed by this loss that we went through this year, and we're still grieving and still coping with that. So that was 6 months ago, and we're finally kind of in a place where we're thinking about revisiting the moving situation. We just keep coming back to Phoenix. So we are going in February for an official vibe check. We have a trip all booked. So we're gonna go out there and just see, like, has this place changed a ton since we last lived there? Mike lived there with me for 2 years and I was there for 7 years. So we kind of know what it's like, but we have not been there post-pandemic really. So we just wanna see how it's changed. Obviously, it's gotten a lot more crowded. I've heard that from a lot of people. I don't think that really deters us very much, but we just kind of want to make sure, because obviously we've changed since we last lived there. So we just want to make sure that this would be the right move going forward. We would definitely be looking at a fixer-upper, lots of renovations. So that is also very scary for me personally, just because this is such a beautiful home. As you guys know, it's all pretty much done how I want it. There's a couple spaces like our laundry room and our master bath that I would like to redo. But we're kind of just waiting to see what happens because we don't want to spend money doing that if we are going to move. So we're going to go see in February, see what we see and how we feel about it. But I am feeling pretty optimistic just because we have both lived there before and love it. So I don't know. We could get out there though and be like, this is super crowded. This is out of our price range. We feel really far from our families now. It doesn't feel like home anymore. I don't know. We're basically going out there to see and determine what the next steps may or may not be. So I will obviously keep you all updated. I most likely will vlog when we're out there. I'm not sure. Let me know if you all want to see that. I feel weird trying to update you guys on it because it's like I could say one thing and then things could like drastically change next month, because that has happened to us many times already. So we'll see. Okay, also I need to do lip now, and I've had a lot of problems finding a good lip color lately. The one that I usually use in my videos is actually discontinued, and again, I probably shouldn't be putting it on my lips because of how old it is, but this guy is my tried and true. I've been wearing this since I first began flight attending, like almost 10 years ago now. Like, this is my favorite, and what I really like about it is that it like slowly fades off your lips. If you have like a burger or something, it's not half on, half off. Like sometimes with those like matte liquid lips, like your lips can just feel so like messy and crumbly, and this just is so smooth, but it is a matte. So this is the Almond Rose matte lipstick from Maybelline, I believe. Like I said, I'll link it all below, but this is just my favorite, and I don't really wear this one a lot in my videos, but I feel like I should. And I'll just put it on and just, you know, kind of work it a little bit over my lips. I don't use a lip liner or anything. I know you guys are probably like, oh my gosh, she doesn't use a lip liner, but this works for me. Sometimes I'll use a lip liner in my videos, but it's pretty rare. Like, I just take whatever I have and I just kind of overline a little bit with my lipstick. So I keep it simple. Oh, also something that I forgot to do was when I do this sparkly thing on my eyes, I usually put some on my nose and my cheeks just to get like a little bit of a dewy look. Forgot to do that earlier. So yeah, that is pretty much the makeup look. So yeah, I just want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you made it through this one, you all are the true besties. So thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate every single one of you so, so much. And I hope you have a fabulous week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.